Okay, so when we're meditating, the important thing really is the vertical spine. So this sense that something is pulling up from here, and that will stretch the neck and pull the chin in, almost constricting the throat. And then you've got a similar arrow downwards from the sacrum through the tail and into the ground. So when we're in prayer like this, the middle fingers become like an image of the spine. Use the middle fingers to help give us a sense of this extending spine. And there is a sense that it's extending indefinitely. That's the part of you that's infinite, if you like, the part of you that isn't capped. Bring the mind to the Danchen. Feel the Danchen at the front, just beneath the navel, and the Mingmen at the back, in the curve of the lumbar spine. So we just need enough strength in the lumbar spine to project some energy upwards, but also to extend the tail. And so when you get a slight curve here in the lower back, it naturally just pushes the tail down and back a little bit, like it's angling behind you a little. And it will also help really stretch the neck. So with my students, I'll get them sitting like this on a chair, because not many of them can sit cross-legged. And then I'll just sit behind them and just put my hands on their head like this, with the gentlest of, it's like a suggestion really, rather than a force. I'm extending their head upwards, like I'm lifting it off the neck. And when they feel that, they just let go and just let me do it. And then it just becomes really flexible. It's like I can move it around, I can tip it from side to side. So the head on top of the neck really needs to be mobile and fluid. Back to here, back to the Danchen. And now let's try the gripping. So pulling in and releasing. Think of this exercise. It's not really a muscular exercise so much as just a device to help us just focus into this point. So to most of us, the Danchen, when it's introduced, it's like there's no physical analog to it. And so we want to feel it as when I tighten the muscles here, when I pull my anus up, when I tighten everything and just gather, that's the point that it gathers into, the Danchen. That's the definition of the Danchen, really. So it is a physical actuality as well as an energetic one. Pulling in and then releasing. Let the spine flex forwards and then extend backwards. The lumbar spine on most people is so immobile, it's almost fused. We're just trying to get as much mobility into it as possible. So this exercise and also the twisting that we do, especially that strong twisting, trying to feel the twisting getting all the way down to the sacrum. So if we want the sacrum to become active, which we do, then we need to free up the lower spine a little bit. So John used to say a lot of the tension that we harbor gives us an excuse to be careless and sort of clumsy. So the tension is protective. So we don't need to be mindful because we can get away with not being. So when we start releasing the tension through relaxation techniques, often little injuries can set in. So you just have to be really careful. The more relaxed you become, the more awake and vigilant you also need to become. So it is just a slow process of waking up. That's all it is, this work. Any work, really, if you think about it, any work that has any real value other than financial. And then turning with it. Tightening and loosening. It's also got a sense of curling up and then uncurling or unrolling. Like a roll of carpet, a rug that's rolling up and then it's unrolling and becoming flat and expansive, rolling up into a tube, opening up. So your imagery is very important, your visualizations. You can come across one, it's the inventive mind, you invent one, which really works for you. But after a while, you'll get bored with it, it will stop working, so you'll need another one. So the work, it needs that creative component. So we're like artists, really. We're just coming up with new images all the time. And then working with them. So I don't just invent an image, I eventually become it. And now let's turn, let's reach and really feel the arm releasing. So the sense that the arm is reaching, flowing along this line of energy. And that line of energy is created by your intending mind. So I see the line before the hand can actually move. And how does the mind intend? It has to intend with intensity. It's not just that I see something, I squeeze a flow of energy. So something inside me is working quite hard. The same way we squeeze the muscles to get physical movements, or something in my mind is squeezing to get this flow, which my hand is just following. And then reaching up. So it's easier if you're reaching towards something. So when I do this with my students, we're sitting like this, opposite each other, just far enough away that we can't touch each other. And then as we reach forwards, we're just reaching for the other person's hand, which we never actually reach because we're too far away. In a way, it's like a device for getting our energy out there. First of all, we have to see where it's going. Or it's a lot easier if we do. So there's two senses. One sense that there's something up there that I'm reaching for, but also another sense that something from the depths of me is squeezing out and I'm just reaching sort of blindly. So both of those aspects are important. And we just have to work on the one that we're not very good at. So when we're working slowly, we tend to be more internal. So, you can work with your eyes closed and you get more of a sense of a feeling for it, but then you're not really with the outside. If we were working much more quickly, then we'd be more with the outside. So the idea here is to have the slowness, but also a sense of the outside. I'm reaching up almost to take something off the top shelf and I can't quite reach it. I'm almost there. So something in me has to just let go. So, it can just go up that added millimeter. So to actually reach the destination, something in you has to just let go, stop controlling. They say in spiritual work, really, the big breakthrough comes when you realize that you're going to fail. All this hard work that you're doing is going to end in failure. You're not going to become enlightened even a little bit. And that's the point where something in you just relaxes. And if then you choose to continue with the hard work, that's when you make your breakthrough. Whilst you're grasping after this goal, you never get there. And now let's turn. So reaching to the side, and really feeling the twist. Trying to get the twisting vertebra as low down as possible. Again, be careful. It's easy with this sort of work to hurt yourself. come back to the spine, the verticality. You know those Pal Clay pictures? And it's like, they're very childlike, his pictures, and they're very small normally. And sometimes he'd just put an arrow in it for whatever reason, but really was like a vector. There was an energy just moving in the direction of the arrow. So here it's like there's an arrow pointing upwards, which is just extending part of your mind up along it. So it doesn't stop at the top of the head. And there's another arrow pointing down from the end of the tail towards the center of the earth. And then you've got this center here, which is contracting gently, but you want it to be real. So you don't have to tighten the muscles to get it to contract. It's naturally contracting because it's your center of gravity. Every part of you is being pulled towards this point. And then you've got this, which is just really warm and human. It's like the best of your humanity is here. This is the part of you that connects to other people, other creatures. And then you've got the head point, which is just, it's like the spiritual point. That's just wanting to expand and reach upwards. Start with our bouncing. Getting that springy quality, the elastic quality in the legs. All the time, I'm just really trying to relax here so that I get a sense of spreading across my sacrum, and that will allow the knees to go out and allow me to feel like I'm going into the outside edges. Alternating the hands. Same thing, but just slightly wider. Really feel it opening in the groin. And now let's turn. So the bouncing should aerate the system. So there's a lightness that's come in to the whole body. So all the joints feel open. And then this turning or any movement really of the body has like an effortless quality, even though the muscles are probably working hard to hold you up. The movement feels really smooth and easy. Feel the breathing. Coordinate the breathing with the movements. You breathe in on one turn and then out on the other turn. Part of relaxation is slowing down and connecting with deeper rhythms, rhythms with longer wavelengths, longer frequencies. So we are normally habitually talking to ourselves in our heads, and that has a certain rhythm. The average number of words a person speaks a minute is about 120. So like double the average heart rate. So that 120 is an allegro in music. So that's our basic habitual speed that we're going at. And we just want to slow it down so you can focus on the heartbeat, which will halve the speed, or what they recommend is the breathing. So we normally breathe about 12 breaths a minute. So it's 10 times slower than the voice in the head. Feeling it, oh, it's like water that's just gently sloshing in a large vessel. We're trying to extend our range so that our experience is including much slower rhythms than the one in the head. So for that relaxation, and just, if you go walking in nature, for example, then you're just connecting with natural rhythms. Imagine the rhythm of a tree. There are some trees near where Ty lives. There's some really ancient olives that are thousands of years old. And then the rhythm of the mountain. If you could take like a time-lapse film of a mountain range with like one shot every 10,000 years, say, then when you played it back after millions of years, you just see this flowing landscape because it's liquid. Everything is liquid ultimately. Like glass. Glass is just a very slow flowing liquid. Tai Chi is a martial art, so it also contains really high frequencies because the martial artist, he has to be quick and responsive and of spirit because he can't afford to let the mind try and think the situation because it's just far too slow. So this is why Tai Chi, in a sense, it's really ideal because it's got the meditative, slow aspect and it's got the really fast, spirited, martial aspect. A real Tai Chi master will have a much, much wider range than the average person. Backwards and forwards, pulling with the leg, pulling myself into the leg. want to feel the leg reaching out, catching like a hook, and then pulling me towards it. Coordinate it a little with the breathing. So feeling that when you do that catch in the first part of the pull, that's the active part. So it's a bit like breathing in. So I breathe in, and then as I sink into the leg, I breathe out. I breathe in, and then I breathe out. In, out. And the other foot forwards. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. So breathing in on the yield and out on the attack. This is the reverse breathing. Let's bring it to riding horse for a moment. Just a little bit of bouncing, just to spring the system. Relaxing into the natural springiness of the body. So it's a body that's really physical, visceral, juicy, that's really infused with the lightness of spirit. Just like a springy ball, when you bounce it, if you were to bounce a piece of lead the same size, it would hardly bounce at all. So basically what the ball is able to do is hit the ground store energy and then release the energy to make itself come up. So this is the quality of our body, hopefully. I can sink into the legs, storing energy, and then that energy will just release in the return upwards. So a spring, sinking into a spring, into the trampoline skin. And then just into riding horse. Feel the gravity just streaming down through the body, like you're really porous. Like a very fine rain. Imagine, you went outside. You're sort of lying in bed, naked, and then you suddenly realize it started raining. So you rush outside to bring the clothes in off the washing line. I've experienced that so many times. But it's such a lovely feeling when you feel this sort of almost misty rain just tickling the body. So there's nothing about it that would depress you. So it's not sort of torrential, just dragging down at you. It's just more like it's waking you up than actually pulling you down. That's the quality here. So gravity is just so gentle. It's caressing. It's caressing the body, not just the skin, but inside. And then let's just try a very simple Qigong, just to help that feeling of down. Maybe bring the feet up a bit. First of all, let's just try the chair, but without the chair. Yeah. So just imagine the chair is here and you're going to try and lift it. Ooh, but that's actually pulling you down into the legs. So your legs are bending, and then you put your finger on top of the chair or your hand, press down. So I'm pushing down into the chair, but it won't move. So I have to move upwards. So now I pull the chair up. Ooh, and I flow down. And then the hand on top, push down, and I come up. So we're just trying to find the point of equilibrium. Okay, so let's try this Qigong. But first, just the really, really simple one. Just lifting the arms and then letting them drop. So what I want is for my body to be, my legs to be just really soft, so that as I bring the arms up, I'm effectively getting a little bit heavier. So that will drive me down into the legs. And then when I drop the hands, my body can come up. Just imagine you're in water, you're under the water. So as you brought your arms up, it would push against the water and that would push your body down. And then when you dropped the hands, it would push your body up. You want the feeling that the body is not so much standing heavily on this hard surface. It's buoyant, it's suspended, and it can move up and it can move down. And now let's try the Qigong. Just reaching out, gathering as much of the world in. So into this point here, and then just bring it down the body. So just doing an exercise to accentuate the sinking, really, this feeling of descending down through the body. Started teaching this couple, and she's got Parkinson's. He's religious. So he's quite stern and sort of solemn. And we started doing this, and suddenly he just got so excited. He says, I can feel it. I can feel the energy. And he was like a little kid. That's the thing about the religious people here. All the secular people complain bitterly about them because they don't work and they use up all of the taxpayers' money. But they are open. It's much easier to work with a religious person, really, than with a sort of know it all, skeptical bourgeois. And so you continue with the exercise. The only thing you're really concentrating on is relaxing. Because as you begin to become familiar with something, you will harden around what you perceive to be its structure. Its structure will become solid and frozen. That's the last thing we want. We're wanting the work to melt everything. Everything becomes formless. So, just feel it down, flowing down through the body. And then you can just start turning with it. So as you open out, just turn a little bit to the side. So it's like the breathing exercise that we do sitting down. I mean, all of these exercises are the same. They're basically breathing exercises. Normally got two phases, A, B, A, B. And one phase you can coordinate with the in-breath, and one phase you can coordinate with the out-breath. Just different ways of looking at the breathing body. Largely to simply slow down the mind, to stop the mind, stop the world, as Castaneda called it. So the world is the image of reality that the mind creates. So we want that to break and crumble so that we can actually see what's underneath it, which is reality. The first stage of that is stopping the mind. It's a stage that most people wouldn't even consider possible, let alone ever countenance trying to work towards it. Widen the stance. Let's just try some of the two circle exercise. It's like reaching out to pick up the sobbing child. I reach out. If I really let go of the arm and let it pull away from the spine, then this inside here will naturally soften. So my reaching, my sincere, heartfelt reaching, softens my heart. So this is the compassionate aspect. It's built into mammals, especially, like us, apes, monkeys, bears, things that have the ability to walk around on 2 feet, even if they don't do it very often. Really just visualize that child. You've got to get your arm behind them. So something in you has to release and let your energy out. So your eyes have to go to the place the hand is reaching. And it's always a little bit further away than you can actually reach physically. So they say in Tai Chi, your circles are always bigger than you're capable of. It's just expanding the mind, but also getting your energy able to reach out. Remember, whatever is happening in the shoulder and the arm, I want eventually for it to feel it in the leg. So the shoulder blade is releasing from the spine, and I want the feeling that this hip is releasing from the sacrum. Now, for that, I really have to be stable in this leg so that the other leg can become empty, because it's not going to release until it's empty of weight. So the work is physical, but we want it to be energetic, internal, spiritual. So for that, we need to develop a mind that helps the process rather than hinders it. Most people's minds are so tense and fraught with worry. They don't know anything else. So when they bring their mind to a situation, they actually make it worse. In time, relaxing, softening, so that when you put your mind on something, it's just totally illuminated, warmed, and softened and relaxed. So I just see this joint, I see this sacroiliac joint, and something in me just softens and smiles into it, the same way you would soften and smile to appease someone. It's exactly the same. Just think of your own body as being the other. And you're just using your mind to reassure it, soften it, open it up, relax it. So I always say that if the mind can't do that, then you're not really a human being. Your John had a great word for people whose minds make it worse. He used to call them blots on the landscape. Like the world would be a better place if they didn't exist. And now just bringing it up. And just relaxing. Remember, legs always giving. You just want to start seeing that straightening of the legs in order to start thinking as a real violence. It's violating reality. It's violating your connections with the real world. And when you let the legs just give and soften, then you're instantly with energy because you can really feel this streaming down through the body. And then the tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. It's like, to start with, they tell you to put the tip of the tongue just behind the front teeth so you can sort of feel the very top of the teeth. But gradually, as you progress, the tongue gets further and further back. And some of the yogis can actually take their tongue all the way back and then stick it up the nasal passages so that they're effectively not breathing when they're meditating. So that's like an anchor, the same way that mind in Dantian is. Two places where you're holding on so that everything else can just relax and give way. And then the eyes, just letting the eyes really soften. So you get a real sense that something is coming out of the back of the head and reaching into the world. And you're seeing from here more than seeing from here. So you're feeling, they're like feelers, like the tentacles of the octopus. They're so sensitive. Imagine the octopus's arm is just covered in suckers, and each one of those suckers has an independent set of nerves. So it's like that. Every part of you is like a nerve center in your energy limbs, even more than your physical ones. Always ready to turn. So if I was to sink and just drop down, it would always include a turning because, I'm always slightly more in one leg than another. And that's like this playful jostling. So that's the sense of humor, what John called the humor of the natural process.